So in my YouTube videos, I do not normally address individuals. This YouTube channel promotes Zionism. This YouTube channel promotes the ideology, the truth of the salvation of all things Israel, as told in the prophets in Deuteronomy 30, after Israel suffers their tribulation. All Israel will be brought back, and Zionism shall live again. But also, as written in Romans 11, Romans 11, verse 25 through 28. As is written in the prophets Isaiah, Jeremiah, Hosea, as written in what the Gentiles call the four Gospels. Now, this particular woman, as the black folks would call, a divester, a swirler, she has said some things after the breakup between her and the Daily Wire. So we'll get started with this particular article. Daily Wire parts ways with Candace Owens after public falling out with founders over disgraceful anti-Israel views. The Daily Wire is parting ways with Candace Owens after the right-wing firebrand spent months attacking Israel in its increasingly heated terms and embracing bizarre conspiracy theories. Daily Wire and Candace Owens have ended their relationship, co-founder and CEO Jerry Boring announced Friday on X. He did not provide any additional information on Owens' termination. Owens reposted Boring's announcement and directed followers to her website and YouTube channel. The rumors are true. I am finally free. She thinks she's free. She is not. She is embracing bondage is what she's doing. But let's continue. Owens said on X with a link to her website, there will be many more announcements coming this week. This is my personal YouTube page, etc., etc. Owens' commentary on the ongoing Israel-Hamas war and U.S. support for Jewish state recently caused a public rift between her and Daily Wire co-founder Ben Shapiro, an Orthodox Jew and a strong supporter of Israel. Two commentators sparred on X last year after Shapiro called her views on Israel disgraceful in a viral clip. Well, so Ben Shapiro, this is what happens when you, for the lack of a better term, unequally yoke yourself with people who do not believe in your ideology. Can two men walk together and be not agreeing with each other? Is it possible? No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other, Owen said in reference to a viral clip of Shapiro. You cannot serve both God and money, she added. Or maybe it's more like you cannot serve both Gott, the Germanic foreign idol of the white folk, as they would say. Or the Elohim of Israel. You see, the two are not the same. The two do not agree. God, and Jehovah, Elohim of Israel, are not in agreement. The two cannot walk together. You see? And Candace Owens calls Ben Shapiro emotionally unhinged and unprofessional. Well, let's just find out who the emotionally unhinged and unprofessional person is. In fact, I really want to go to the video. Sarah Carter. Shows video of Candace Owens. Maybe it'll be on here. Oh, hold on, wait a minute. Let's find out who is unprofessional and unhinged.
Many moons ago, before they decided to establish Israel as a country, I know you've read like the short version in a classroom, and it was like, oh, the Holocaust happened, and then we realized that Israel needs a state. No, that's not how it went down. That's not how it went down at the F all, okay? Catholics and Christians were going missing on Passover, and then they would find bodies, okay, across Europe, and they were able to trace them back to Jews. Blood libel. They weren't Jews, okay? These were Frankists. And so just like Leo Frank killed Mary Fagan on Passover back in 1913 or 1914, I can't remember the exact dates, he did it during Passover for a reason, this Frankist cult, which is masquerading behind Jews, still participates in this shit to this day, okay? Why would you want as a...
So, who is the one that's emotionally unhinged? Who is the one that has lost their mind here?
A small nation that is the size of New Jersey, okay? Why would you want the pedophiles to flee there? Like, why would you want the pedophiles to be procreating? Unless the nation of Israel may have been established by some Frankists as looking like Theodore Herzl's family was from the exact same area in Moravia and in Bohemia where the Frankist cult was founded. Crazy when you get into his family. That, like, maybe Theodore Herzl, who wrote in a book that he didn't care how many Jews had to die for him to get the state of Israel, like, maybe he was not actually a Torah worshipping Jew. Like, I don't know. I'm just throwing out some ideas here. And by...
Yes, this woman has lost her mind. Now, she's talking about why would they want to send all these pedophiles into this little old place of the size of New Jersey? And she says these people are not Torah worshipping Jews. Let me go and quote the Torah and let's see what it says about Israel coming back to the Holy Land. Deuteronomy 30. So did the children of Israel do evil? Yes, they did. Were they any worse than the Gentiles? No. Were they any better than the Gentiles? No. Now, Deuteronomy 30, starting in verse 1. It shall come to pass, when these things come upon you, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before you, and you will return. Why did the Gentiles have such a big problem with the Jews returning to the land of Israel? This woman clearly does not like the fact that the Jews want to return to the land, their homeland. It says, and you will return in your inner heart. You will become Zionists. When you're among the Gentiles, where Jehovah Elohim scattered you, not God, it's Jehovah, not the Lord, Elohim, not God, has driven you, and you shall return unto Jehovah Elohim. So, returning to the Holy Land is literally returning to Jehovah Elohim. That's what it is. So why is Candace Owens against it? Why is she against Zionism? Well, let's Candace Owens claims Hitler wasn't the most evil. Mengele experiments bizarre propaganda. What? This is on Israel National News. Conservative political commentator Candace Owens waded into the waters of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories again this week when she called the infamous human experiments conducted by Nazi Dr. Joseph Mengele a bizarre propaganda, and stated that she does not believe Hitler was as evil as he had been made out to be on her YouTube show. Now, why would she say something like that? What event in her life caused her to say something like this? I think I know the answer, and I will show it to you in just a minute. So then she goes and turns around and claims accuse the Allies of ethnically cleansing 20 million Germans during and after World War II, suggesting that this was worse than Hitler's crimes. What is she trying to say? Is she trying to say, what is it about Hitler? And why would you call him evil? Now, she said, why is he the most evil? Nobody claimed that he was the most evil human on earth. We all know what Stalin did. We all know what Mao Zedong did. But Hitler is right up there with them. You see, this is what we say. Hitler is right up there with Stalin and Mao. And to the Jews, Hitler is the most evil man that ever existed. Well, because he tried to wipe them off the face of the earth forever. It's not hard to comprehend, but see, she doesn't comprehend it because she has no empathy for the Jews. In her world, if every Jew would be dead, it would be just another day, just another walk in the park. So, and then you have Shumley Botich and daughter file complaint to the FBI against Candace Owens. So the title, you see what the title of this particular video is going to be. And yes, oh, she invited this upon herself, so she is going to get it. Because you see, the Jews are not going to take it anymore. Not from her, not from anybody. And if she's worried about her own welfare now, wait until the two witnesses, the two greatest Zionists that the world has seen since Yehoshua and the disciples. Wait till they show up. The complainant accused her of making dangerous anti-Semitic marks, including falsely claiming that he and his daughter were trying to kill her. Shomli Botich, a popular celebrity rabbi, filed a complaint with the FBI against Candace Owens on Monday, a controversial figure in conservative media, after she seemingly accused him and his daughter of trying to kill her. Please let me immediately advise you of a new threat against me and my family, including my daughter Rochelle Leah, also a Jewish public figure, Botich wrote. Yesterday, before more than 1 million people on a live X feed, who he called arch anti-Semites, Candace Owens, arguably the foremost female Jew hater in America, accused me of trying to murder her in collaboration with the world's Zionists, thereby putting a national target on my back and naming me specifically from all American Jewish leaders, Botich wrote to the FBI. I need to impress upon you the serious danger that a Jew hater with a national following places on a defenseless rabbi when she tells her followers that the rabbi is a murderer and plans to have her killed. This is the ultimate blood libel that Jews are killers and people must therefore kill the Jews first before they strike, he wrote in detail. According to Botich, Owens months ago insinuated that I killed Michael Jackson. 2 days ago, to her 5.5 million ex-followers, she said that Michael Jackson put me on a list of Jews who are trying to destroy his life. She outright said that my daughter and I are lying and smearing, libeling, and killing. Now, ain't it funny how everybody knows what lifestyle that Michael Jackson had with children, yet she defends Michael Jackson and falsely accuses Jews of the things that Michael Jackson did. Or purportedly had done. In a video on Sunday, Owens claims that a Zionist media empire is shielding criminals and protecting what she describes as a criminal syndicate. Now, I wouldn't call my YouTube channel a Zionist media empire, not because of lack of Zionism, because I will tell you that this YouTube channel today is the most Zionist in all of media. There is none more Zionist than this YouTube channel. There is no man on earth today that is more Zionist than I am. So I don't know what in the world she's talking about. What Zionist syndicate is she talking about? Owens' rant included several inflammatory statements such as, "We are existing right now in a Zionist media empire which is working to protect criminals." No, there is no Zionist media empire that's controlling all of media. That does not exist. She went on to link the so-called syndicate to blackmail coercion, referencing Hollywood Babylon by Kenneth Anger, which recounts alleged Hollywood scandals from the 1900s to the 1950s. Owens then zeroed in on Rabbi Shumley Botich, questioning whether anyone truly believes he is a victim. Is anyone buying that Rabbi Shumley is a victim and not a thug that goes around threatening people's lives? Owens also dredged up claims by Michael Jackson. She implied that Jackson's allegations were not merely anti-Semitic outbursts, but had some basis, especially in light of her own experiences. Is anyone buying that Michael Jackson is really just being anti-Semitic when he said that Rabbi Shumley was on a list of 6 Jews in Hollywood that were trying to ruin his life? Now, let me tell you something. The only one who was trying to ruin Michael Jackson's life was Michael Jackson himself. And the only one who's trying to ruin Candace Owens' life is Candace Owens herself. The video also accuses Rabbi Shumley and his daughter Rochelle Leah of conducting a 2-year harassment campaign against Owens, in which she claims led to her being fired from the Daily Wire. No, Candace Owens, your big mouth is what led you to be fired from the Daily Wire. You did it to yourself. Alright, so Owens' outburst is a part of a troubling trend in her trending in rhetoric over the past year. She has increasingly aligned herself with far-right ideologies and conspiracy theories, previously causing a stir with comments endorsing anti-Semitic tropes such as claims that Jews drink Christian blood. These remarks, along with her harsh criticism of Israel following the October 7th Hamas attacks, ultimately led to her dismissal from the Daily Wire. So she lies and lies, and the truth is she did it to herself. She sided, Candace Owens sided with the genociders that Hamas and the terrorists of Iran are. And as you may know, over and over and over, Iran says that by 2025 there will no longer be a Zionist state, implying that they're willing to genocide Israel. So Candace Owens implies that she sides with the genociders, yet she projects that sin onto the Jews. This is a typical Christian tactic. Tatuk told the Jerusalem Post, Candace Owens lies through her teeth every day to millions of people that we Jews kill Catholics on Passover, that we Jews are inherently pedophilic, we control Hollywood and murder black entertainers, that Zionism is satanic and devilish. Well, let's continue and see what I'm going to start back here again.
Israel as a country, I know you've read like the short version in the classroom, and it was like, oh, the Holocaust happened, and then we realized that Israel needs a state. No, that's not how it went down. That's not how it went down at the F all, okay? Catholics and Christians were going missing on Passover, and then they would find bodies, okay, across Europe, and they were able to trace them back to Jews. Blood libel. They weren't Jews, okay? These were Frankists. And so just like Leo Frank killed Mary Fagin on Passover back in 1913 or 1914, I can't remember the exact dates, he did it during Passover for a reason. This Frankist cult, which is masquerading behind Jews, still participates in this shit to this day, okay? Why would you want, as a small nation that is the size of New Jersey, okay, why would you want the pedophiles to flee there? Like, why would you want the pedophiles to be procreating? Unless the nation of Israel may have been established by some Frankists. And it's looking like Theodore Herzl's family was from the exact same area in Moravia and in Bohemia where the Frankist cult was founded. Crazy. When you get into his family, that, like, maybe Theodor Herzl, who wrote in a book that he didn't care how many Jews had to die for him to get the state of Israel, like, maybe he was not actually a Torah-worshipping Jew. Like, I don't know. I'm just throwing out some ideas here. And by throwing out some ideas, I mean I've read a ton of books and I figured it out, okay? I am just, like, so over the idea that Israel is our ally and friend. If another person says that stupid statement, I'm going to personally punch you in the face. I am. It's going to be me. That's a joke. Don't take this video off of Twitter. Wink.
So, there you have it, folks. And where did she get this ideology from? Now, interestingly enough, Candace Owens' father-in-law, Lord Farmer, British fellow, distanced himself from her anti-Semitic rant. But the way he did it is the way that the Catholics distanced themselves from Adolf Hitler in the 1940s. Peer takes to the social media following divisive U.S. political commentators' claims of Zionist media empire and accuses Canaanites of sexual perversion and promiscuity. What she did was she called the Jews Canaanites. Lord Michael Farmer has taken to social media for an unprecedented expression of staunch support for Israel and the Jewish people following a weekend rant of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories by his daughter-in-law, Candace Owens. Farmer made a life peer in the House of Lords in 2014, was appointed Christian vice chair of the Council of Christians and Jews in 2016. His son, right-wing activist George Farmer, married conservative American political commentator Owens in 2019. She is renowned for her increasingly vehement attacks against the Jewish community, most recently accusing a former president of the local B'nai B'rith chapter of pedophilia in 1913. Retweets posts accusing Israel of persecuting Christians, declaring, "Don't get me started on the Mossad operation in Congo where Christians are also being slaughtered," and rejoicing in her perception that the Zionist media empire continues to crumble. Well, to Candace Owens, the Zionist media empire is only getting started. She also wrote, "Someone said something the other day that I want to share. The reason these demons we are fighting have to lie, cheat, and backstab and blackmail to get ahead is because they lack God's creative force to produce anything real of value themselves." She's talking about the Jews. She's calling the Jews Canaanites, going on to claim that the Canaanites in the Bible loved war, sexual perversion, and promiscuity, child sacrifice, and violence. Let me remind Candace Owens that the Canaanites were the sons of Ham. And Cush. The Cushites are also the sons of Ham, which she is a descendant of. In a recent post, she boasted that a recent online conversation, The Truth About Zionism, broadcast on Twitter Space audio platform alongside controversial misogynistic influencer Andrew Tate had achieved 1.6 million views. Whilst not directly referring to Owens by name, and you see, Evil needs to be called out by name. And I am calling Candace Owens out by name today. Farmer, in a series of posts on Monday, 19th August, begins by saying, in a view of public comments from a high-profile member of my family, I want to put my own views on anti-Semitism and Israel's current political military campaign in Gaza on record. He goes on to say that as a teenager growing up after World War II, he became very aware of cruelty meted out before and during that conflict against Jewish people because they were Jewish. I found it impossible to comprehend how humans could intentionally be cruel as possible to others. In view of public comments from a high-profile, well, there it is right there. During his working career, he says he worked with many Jewish people in the city, that the boss in one of his first jobs had come in Britain on a kinder transport, and he often experienced kindness and thoughtfulness from Jewish friends as well, at a time when I had few close relationships, and the best man at my wedding and longtime friend was Jewish. And what was Candace Owens' answer to him? You guys are so weird, LOL. You're hoping for a family. Oh, she's talking about the public now? I don't know. I don't know what she's talking about. She's off her rocker. You're hoping for a family rift, but there isn't one. Just got back from France with him less than 72 hours ago. He's always been an amazing father-in-law. Family comes first, always. He concluded by stating, I should point out that I am a Christian deputy chair of the Council for Christians and Jews. This was founded in 1942 as a bulwark against anti-Semitism, and our monarch has always been its patron. Speaking exclusively to Jewish News, former chief executive of CCJ, Elizabeth Harris Sosvence, called Farmer a true friend of the Jewish people, a kind, honest, generous person, and added that she has always held Lord Farmer to highest respect. Well, I don't want to sit here and go through this particular article all day. Well, Lord Farmer, as you call yourself, you need to handle family business. Throw her out. And if her son doesn't throw her out, then you need to throw him out too. Did I miss something? I did. Okay, so what I'm going to do, Owens converts to, I didn't type in Catholicism. You see, right there. Now, let's go and click what's available. Is it this one? That's not the one I was looking for. I was looking for the one with the, oh, that would be this one. No. There it is. I was looking for the one with her and a Catholic priest. Why would Candace Owens convert to Catholicism? By converting Catholicism, Owens has demonstrated that her quest for truth was not merely a quest for fame or influence. Early this week, Candace Owens announced that she was converting to Catholicism. Posting about her conversion on social media, she wrote, "Recently I made a decision to go home." Oh, so the Catholic Church is home. To what? Race and racism in the European Middle Ages. What, pray tell, was the church in the European Middle Ages? Anybody care to take a guess? The Catholic Church. But wait a minute. Where did this all begin anyway? Now, I'm not particularly fond of this particular article, but there's enough information in here that'll get my point across. One thing that I learned a long time ago, that the term white, as in white people, was coined by the British. Now, for generations, this is by Geraldine Heng, University of Texas at Austin. Race study scholars, historians, literary critics, social scientists believe that race and its pernicious spawn, racism, were modern-day phenomena only. This is because race is originally defined only in biological terms and believed to be determined by skin color, whatever you call that, genomy, and genetic inheritance. The more astute, however, came to realize that race could also be a matter of cultural classification, as Ann Stoller's 1977 study of colonial Dutch East Indians make plain. Race could never be a matter of physiology alone. Cultural competence and Dutch customs, a sense of belonging, a Dutch cultural milieu, disaffiliation with things Javanese, domestic arrangements, parental styling, and moral environment were crucial to defining who was to be considered European. Yet, even after we recognize that people could be racialized through cultural and social criteria, that race could be a social construction, the European Middle Ages were still seen as outside the history of race. I speak only of the European Middle Ages because I am a Euro-medievalist. It's up to others to discuss race in Islamic, Jewish, Asian, African, and American pre-modernities. This meant that atrocities in the medieval period, roughly 500 to 1500 CE, such as the periodic extermination of Jews in Europe, I mention this in this way. How they tried to exterminate the Jews in Europe over and over and over and over again. And who was in power? From 500 to 1500. Who was in power? It was the Catholic Church. So who caused all this? The Catholic Church. The church where Candace Owens calls home. This is where she learned it from. And just to point out, I'm going to go to BitChute real quick. It's also on YouTube, folks. Where are the rest of my videos? Oh, there they are, right here. All right. Constantine's Creed, this is one of my videos, injects venomous anti-Semitic curse into all Christians. The Constantine Creed is the foundation for what happened in the Middle Ages that this woman here is describing. The demand that they mark their bodies and the bodies of their children with a large visible badge like this. The herding of Jews into specific towns in England to monitor their livelihoods. A dystopian type of society. And the vilification of Jews for supposedly possessing a fetid stench, a male menses, subhuman and bestial qualities, and a congenital need to ingest the blood of Christian children whom they tortured and crucified to death. So who did Candace Owens learn this from? The Catholic Church. All these and more were considered to be pre-modern prejudice and not acts of racism. My book, The Invention of Race in the European Middle Ages, suggests that the exclusion of the medieval period from the history of race issues derives from an understanding of race that was been overly influenced by the era of scientific racism in the so-called Age of Enlightenment, when science was the magistral arbiter of racial classification. But we know that scientific racism also played an important role in Nazi ideology, and that particular form of racism came from the eugenists of United States of America. You know that United States of America, that Candace Owens says there is no racism in the United States. That very United States that authored extermination of lesser peoples through eugenics. But today in news, media, and public life, we see how religion also can function to classify people into absolute and fundamental ways. For instance, Muslims who hail from a diversity of ethno-races and national origins have been talked about as if their religion somehow identified as them as one homogeneous people. I don't know why she would say that. I think only people with the IQ of less than room temperature would classify them as one racial group. Race is one of those primary names we have a name for, we retain for the commitment it recognizes that it attached to a repeated tendency of the gravest import to demarcate human beings through differences among humans that are selectively identified as absolute and fundamental, so as to distribute positions and powers differentially to human groups. In race-making, strategic essentialisms are posited and assigned through a variety of practices. Race is thus a structural relationship for the management of human differences rather than a substantive content. Now that made no sense to me at all. Instead of opposing pre-modern prejudice to modern racism, we can then see the treatment of medieval Jews, including their legalized murder by the state. That's right, the state. And the state was controlled by what? The Catholic Church. The basis of community lies and rumors as racial acts, which today we might even call hate crimes, of a sanctioned and legalized kind. In this way, we would bear witness to the full meaning of events in the medieval past and understand that racial thinking and racial practices and racial phenomenon can occur before there was a vocabulary to name them for what they are. To discuss medieval race, I've scrutinized a wide range of evidence, art, and statutory maps, saints' lives, whatever that means, state legislature, church laws, social institutions, popular beliefs, economic relations, war, settlements, colonization, religious treatises, and many kind of literature, travel accounts, ethnographies, romances, chronicles, letters, papal bulls, etc. And I appreciated as she lumped papal bulls in there. I suggested that medieval England is the first racial state in the history of the West. English church and state laws produced surveillance, tagging, herding, incarcerating, legal murder, and finally the expulsion of English Jews, a popular story of Jews killing Christian boys which began in England and spread throughout the continent, shifts in marked ways across a century, told and retold to consolidate the communal identity of England as a nation united against Jews who became an internal minority of perpetual outsiders. So, who did she learn this from? English Catholics. In 1215, Canon 68 of the Fourth Lateran Council installed racial laws in the Latin West by ordering Jews and Muslims to mark themselves off by a different dress. English laws and statutes quickly elaborated this into a badge of shame. Now I want to mention that in the Latin West, specifically in Spain, that if a white Christian married outside of their race, they would be executed. They would be burned at the stake. That means if they married a Jew, which, of course, folks, is how I came to be. A Gentile marrying a Jew. Many Gentiles marrying Jews a long time ago, back in those days, which is why my DNA shows to be 1/3 Natufian, which is just another way to cover up from ancient Israel. English law statutes quickly elaborated this into the badge of shame and increasingly constricted the freedom of Jewish subjects till 1275. The Statute of Jewry created residential enclaves, or aka ghettos, by forbidding Jews to live among Christians. Parliamentary law drove Jews from England altogether in their first permanent expulsion from a European country. Concomitantly, Muslims were turned into non-humans, with the renowned theologian Bernard of Clairvaux, who co-wrote the Rule of the Order of the Templars, announcing that the killing of a Muslim wasn't actually homicide, but malicide, the extermination of incarcerated evil, not killing of a person. Ingeniously, authors and theologians in Europe repeatedly called Muslims Saracens, a made-up name that falsely claimed Muslims called themselves Saraceni to pretend that they were descended from Sarah, Abraham's legitimate wife, not Hagar, her bondwoman, because of their shame, a story that characterized Muslims as liars in a very act of telling a lie about them. Extraterritorial incursions we call the Crusades even created an indispensable template for Europe's later colonial empires of the modern eras by creolizing the old template of Roman colonization. When Europeans later came to subjugate the populations of the world and spread new maritime empires, they came with the book and the sword, not unlike the ancient Rome, or not like ancient Rome, but like medieval Christendom. Even fellow Christians could be racialized. Gerald of Wales justified England's invasion of Ireland in the 12th century by depicting the Irish as a subhuman, savage, and a bestial race, a racializing strategy in England's colonial rule of Ireland that echoed from the medieval through the early modern period. 4 centuries later, Edmund Spenser would repeat the same derogatory lies about the bestial, savage, inhuman Irish. I look at the Irish, and Irish in some ways look more white, as they say, than some of the British, but I digress. Europeans, of course, knew the existence of sub-Saharan Africans, whom they met on the pilgrimage to Jerusalem and the trading ports of Mediterranean, thanks to Ethiopia's Christianization in the 4th century and Nubia in the 6th. Pious Ethiopian priests served at the Holy Sepulchre, as they say, alongside devout pilgrims from Africa, yet sub-Saharan Africans continue to be depicted as torturers of Christ and killers of John the Baptist in European art and literature. Africa invited fantasies of what the outside world could offer: treasure, sex, wealth, supremacy, if the West could only make the world more like Latin Christendom itself. Now, I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but you can if you want to. So, now you know where this all came from. Europe. Jolly old England. That's right. So, this, as the black folks would call her, divester, ran headlong into race ideology. Why did she do this? Is it because she hates her black self? Well, the black manosphere will tell you that that's the reason. But one thing that I want to mention to people like Candace Owens, and you black divestors, as they say, need to take this warning. And I mean this in the most respectful possible way. It is written in Revelation 9, verse 17 through 18, that the one who wears the colors of jacinth on their heavy machinery are going to launch weapons that are going to cause the destruction of 1/3 of lives on the earth. How do you do that efficiently? And who is the one that wears the colors of jacinth? Well, I've already gone over that many, many times. The one who wears the colors of jacinth, that's the colors of the ribbon of St. George. That's Russia. And why would they do that? Well, if you read Ezekiel 38 and 39, especially in 39, you will find that Israel is going to declare war on their invaders. And their invaders are from the far north, but Israel cannot invade the far north. It's not possible. Well, obviously they would declare war on the invaders that are there invading. But if you're going to declare war upon them, you have to declare also war upon their lands. Now what I want to do is I want to go to that particular scripture, and I'm going to tell you how this is going to happen. How this destruction of 1/3 of mankind is going to happen. Where is Ezekiel? I can't see it. It's right there in front of me. You have to pardon me. I'm getting older. And I'm not getting any faster. I'm not getting any sharper. So if you will be patient with me, I will share with you what I know. And let me show you what's going to happen. Son of man, prophesy against Gog. We've gone over who that is. Jehovah Elohim says, Gog, Rosh. Well, Russia calls themselves the head. They think they are the head. Okay. I will cause you to come out from the north. Extreme north. Well, Israel lives near the equator, and they are far from the north. Israel cannot send an invading army into the north. So, hear me out. And bring you upon the mountains of Israel, and I will smite your bow out of your left hand and cause your arrows to fall out of your right hand. So they're going to experience equipment failure. And you will fall upon the mountains of Israel, you and your armies, and the people that are with you I will give to the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured, and you shall fall upon the open field, says Adonai Yehovah. And I will send a fire on Magog and retaliate. How will that happen? Well, if we read Ezekiel 38, you will see that a war will be declared against Gog. Verse 21, and I will call for a sword against him in my mountain, says Adonai Yehovah. So Mount Zion, Jerusalem, is going to have to declare war against Magog. The Samson option is going to have to be launched. What has this got to do with the black folks in the United States of America? You have seen the history of English-speaking white folks, how they started this practice of what we call today, the practice was started a long time ago, but in recent history it was started by the English. You live in English-speaking lands. The vast majority of you black folks live in English-speaking cities. Atlanta, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Miami. They are all targets of Russian nuclear weapons. Let's go to Revelation 9. All right. The sixth messenger sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before not God, not Gott, but Elohim, saying to the sixth messenger which had the trumpet, which had the shofar, loose the four messengers which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And they were loosed, and they were prepared for an hour, a day, and a month, and a year, to slay the third of men. And it describes Yar's mobile launchers here. And I saw the horse in the vision, and not them that sat on it, to be seated on them, having breastplates of fire of jacinth and brimstone. Yar's ICBMs. Is it true? Let's go back here. I want to get a better picture. Images. I want to try to get as close up as I can. There you have it, right there. That which sat on it, on its breastplate, was the color of fire. That's the star, the white and red. Jacinth and brimstone. So jacinth and brimstone is actually an amalgamation of colors. Of what colors? Black and yellow or black and orange. These things are the ones that are going to kill 1/3 of man on the face of the earth. And they're going to target American cities. To the black folks in the United States of America, they're targeting you. Is what I'm trying to tell you. Now, once that happens, the demographics in the United States of America is suddenly going to change overnight. And these people who you think tolerate you right now, it won't be guaranteed that it will be the same afterwards. I think you understand what I'm trying to tell you. And if I were you, if I was black, I would have already left the country. But you say, well, Henry, you're a Zionist. You claim to be a Jew. Why aren't you in Israel? Oh, it's going to happen. Oh, I'll be there. When Israel, the land of Israel, is finally liberated from the Romans, when the land of Israel is finally liberated from Russia, from Europe, and from the United States, that's when I'm going. But you black folks in the United States, you have an opportunity to escape. these things that I'm pointing out to you right now, you have a very, very, very large continent. There's a lot of room, a lot of space. You do not know how these Christian white folks are going to act when the cities of the United States are vacant of the people who once were there. Those of you who remain alive, you know what their proclivities are. History is full of glaring examples of what they do as soon as trouble shows its head. So, you need to think long and hard about joining up with the likes of Candace Owens, and you divestors. You need to think long and hard about what you're doing, because when Zaddy, as they say, kicks you to the curb, the other black folks might not be quite as welcoming as they had been before. So to Candace Owens, that warning is to you. And I think that's all I've got to say about that.